Everyone's got something. Think about it. What do you have that's different? What do you have that's special? Confidence. You can trust what I am saying to you. Command the room. Don't speak too much or overspeak, but listen, but command. And then character. What is your character?
How do you get to the heart and the core of your message when you deliver? You're a powerful speaker. How do you get there?
You actually mentioned this in one of your magazines. It's not what you say necessarily that they will remember, but it is how you made them feel.
Hi, and welcome to Speaker Life. I'm Leah Woodford, your host, and I have a very special treat for you today. A dear friend of mine, Rebecca Powers, flew in, and for those of you who don't know, actually probably many of you do, she was an investigative reporter for a long time, but she's also an emerging speaker and running for office and all the great things. Oh my goodness, Rebecca, you've got quite the itinerary.
I do. So thanks for having me. I love being here in beautiful Arizona. I flew in from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It is, we call it the best kept secret, an hour from New Orleans, where I was born and raised, and then an hour east to Mobile, Alabama. And we have 26 miles of beautiful sand beaches. I moved there to be a news producer in the early 90s and thought I'll be back in New Orleans. I'll be in New York one day. Well, guess what? 26 years later, I'm still there. I ended up becoming an investigative reporter, weekend anchor, then main anchor, and then Hurricane Katrina hit and everything just, it'd take me hours to explain everything that, we were actually ground zero. The news would make you think it was New Orleans, but it wasn't.
Oh.
But we've recovered.
Yes, you have. I spoke in New Orleans not too long ago. So let me ask you.
Yeah.
You've been in the media a long time. How has that prepared you for speaking and for events or even Katrina?
Yeah.
All these years anchoring and investigative reporting.
So when I first started, I moved there to be a little news producer, making $17,500 a year. And I couldn't pay my bills, quite honestly.
I can relate.
You've been there.
I have been
You've
there.
reinvented yourself many times,
yes,
like
I
I have.
have.
And we had a radio station in the building. And so I started being the morning news girl. I'd rip and read, you call it.
I do remember ripping and reading.
Yeah, whatever was on the AP wire. And so I did both. Well, I never realized that those 5 hours of radio every morning would end up being such a great training ground. So when I was a producer for 2 years, they didn't give me a chance to be on camera.
No, of course not.
You just stay where you are. But that radio, being able to ad lib, connect to the audience, looking at the camera, looking in their eyes, thinking of your grandmother when you're speaking. You see anchors that will go, tonight, 3 people died in a fiery crash tonight. Right? It's the opposite of what you should do. You have to be so authentic. And I think I learned through the years meeting so many people, interviewing a lady whose son just drowned in a lake a river that should have been shut down by the city because it was known for having these undertows. Meeting these people, meeting volunteers who came in from all over the world after Katrina to help us, who they didn't even know. When you meet these people and you truly connect and you realize you're just their voice. You're not telling their story. You're connecting and honestly caring.
Well, and whether it's on camera or on a stage, I think the technique's the same. But one of the things that I really absolutely love about you, everything is very conversational.
Thank you.
And there is an authenticity and you do care and it does come across camera. And let's face it, most of the people we know are teleprompter monkeys.
That's true.
If they have to ad lib, they can't do it.
It's so true. And being a weekend anchor, and then I interviewed one lady, someone nominated her to be a South Mississippi hero. We did a spot on that. And I said, you've fostered 137 children. You're our South Mississippi hero this week. And she said, I'm not a hero. Let's not talk about that silly show. What are you going to do for the children? And I'm thinking, who is this lady? Like, well, I'm just, here to get the story and get back. And it sucked me into the plight and how the laws abuse and re-victimize and waste our tax dollars in the billions by keeping confidentiality. So that became my beat. My news director said, well, I can tell you really care about it. Let's make that your beat. Then I get married And then I have infertility problems for 6 years.
Wow.
And I truly believe, you and I have talked about how much
Yes.
God challenges us, what you have overcome with cancer and so many things. I truly believe that God put this in front of me, gave me infertility, 4 miscarriages, $100,000 in IVF, all these things to open my eyes, to make me focus. And I did. Then I applied for adoption, and then I ended up being 12 weeks pregnant, and the rest is history. I have 2 beautiful children now. And I really, truly believe that God put that challenge to me to make me see I can't adopt a local child. We were going to go to Russia. Why can't we adopt local children in need?
That's so crazy.
Because of confidentiality laws, and those need to change. So that's really why I ran for office.
I love that. I
So-
love that. How has being in the media really helped you speak? Because everybody watching can see that you're so natural at this.
Thank you.
But I think there's so many speakers that, let's just call them superficial.
Yeah.
When you're talking, you're speaking heart to heart.
Yeah.
And
know.
what's the technique that you use to get there?
That's a great question. I really thought about it. I think when you first start, I mean, when I get my first chance to be a weekend anchor or doing my first live shot, it's nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah.
It's scary. And people used to say, oh, you're on TV to, 200,000 people a night. Doesn't that scare you? I'm like, no, it's me and Tom Anderson, my buddy on camera. I'm not thinking about all the people. I'm thinking about that sweet little lady like my mom that has hearing aids. And I speak to the camera, and my mom would lip read a lot. And so a lot of it is engaging your face, your eyes, your mouth. And I sing too. So I think a lot of years of singing have helped me really with the
Stage presence.
stage presence. Yeah, I guess that helped too. But it was the charity events. So if I'd go do a story about the American Cancer Society, and they'd say, oh, we're having a candlelight vigil Saturday night, or would you come? Only because I was the local news person is the only reason they asked me.
Oh, sure.
So I'd say, okay, sure. And plus you'd get a few hours off of work if you do, weekend charity events. So I would do these things, and it's more nerve-wracking to be in a room with 20 people than it is being on a camera where 200,000 people are going to see you. So I think it just came with years of doing it, I guess.
Well, for me, I think
Yeah.
I'm just old, and I'm probably just at the point
We're
where
about the same age.
I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore.
That's true too. When you let go and you think I only have to answer, and the only approval I want is God and my family. So not everyone's going to love you. There are things that I do as a county supervisor.
Well, you're in politics. Woo. Yeah. So,
and over a $280 million budget and 1,000 employees. So ethics are, people used to say, oh, do you have to have a law degree to run for office? I'm like, no, you have to have a little intelligence and a whole lot of integrity.
Well, where is that in Washington now? I mean,
that is true.
This is why I'm so thrilled that you're running, because we need to bring, well, first of all, we need term limits and age limits.
Amen.
But we also need
definitely term limits.
Yeah,
I know some 80-year-olds who are fantastic, but go ahead.
But we need some integrity too.
100% integrity. Because even in a county level, so I'm in Harrison County, Mississippi, which is all on the beautiful Gulf Coast, the best part of the state. We have 12 casinos, 26 miles of sand beach, massive tourism, equestrian center. It really is paradise. When you're running for office and you go to someone, because you need the money, you say, hey, can I have $1,000, Mr. Joe Paver? And he'll say, okay. Now remember, when we're doing that highway, I'm going to need your vote. And it gives this inherent ickiness. Like, oh, dang, I need to raise money to run my campaign.
Right.
But you automatically feel like you owe them something. Now imagine being in DC and Congress. You run every 2 years. So you are literally running all the time.
How do you have time to work if you're running for office? That's my question.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the point. And supervisors are 4-year terms. So I win and then I can focus.
Yes.
But Congress, I think you should get rid of lobbyists.
Amen.
I think, yes, you and I agree on that. Term limits, absolutely, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. So
absolute people. Sometimes the people that go in office don't come out. But one of the things that I love about you is you're so heart-centered. And I think we need that in Washington. I think
We
that
do.
we need that on stages. But how many speeches are you having to do now that you're running for office, that you're in the public light? How different is that from media?
I guess it's probably about the same. It's either you're on camera or you're doing a live event. So if I'm singing at a charity event or speaking to I sometimes teach little anchoring classes to local high school students
I love
because
that.
the journalism teachers will ask me to. And I think what I tell the children is it's really about, you've said the word authenticity, truly being yourself. Everyone's got something. Think about it. What do you have that's different? What do you have that's special? And then I help these children understand. My husband says if I write a book, it would be called the C word, because all the words I tell these children is confidence. Like they say, how do you become an anchor? You know, what makes you a good anchor? Confidence. You can trust what I am saying to you. Command the room. Don't speak too much or overspeak, but listen, but command. And then character. What is your character? Are you saying, producers will write something like, it was a beautiful opening for the Beau Rivage Theater. Well, that's editorial. You don't say beautiful. You just say who, what, why, when, and where. True journalism. After Katrina.
We never see that anymore.
Exactly. Edward R. Murrow, he'd be rolling over in his grave. We were growing
Not
up.
to mention Walter Cronkite.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember watching the news, watching Harry Reeser and Howard K. Smith at the 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock news.
Yeah.
And I think the world was a better place before we did 24/7 news.
Absolutely. When you have 24 hours to fill. In regular news, if you have 2 or 3 hours a day to fill, like when we were growing up, then you can do what we call unbundle. There was a terrible accident. Okay, we're going to unbundle it. The whole first block. We're going to speak to the spouse. We're going to speak to the police officer, the man on the street who saved the child from the burning car. That's unbundling, and that's what you do. But when it becomes 24 hours, oh, dear Lord.
I know.
And we're going to talk to the car maker. Why was the car blue? Like, who cares? Give me the facts.
There are no facts either.
Right.
I mean, it's hidden somewhere between everybody's opinions.
Right.
Because there's an opinion on both sides.
And there shouldn't be.
No, the news has no bias.
It should be who, what, why, when, where. And if it's an editorial point, it should be, this is the general manager of this TV station. This is editorial in nature. This is my opinion. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
FCC said you had to say it was your opinion. Now everyone's got their opinion. Now a terrible law was just passed. Are you insane? And that's probably one of the reasons I left news, to be honest.
Well, it's not the news anymore.
I felt the wave.
Well,
yes.
it's now not only a propaganda machine, but it's the money. Follow the money.
Right.
I mean,
if
news.
It bleeds, it leads.
Oh, that's always been there.
Right.
But where is the FCC now?
That's a very good question. They have so many controls on how many PSA hours you have to put in and all these regulations. But where are that's a very good question.
Yeah, I'd love for them to step back in. And I haven't always been a fan, but I think we need them now.
Right. I'm not a fan of regulation, but when it's appropriate, in that case, we need more.
Well, and I do think we need news. But since this is Speaker Life, I think we need to get back to speaking.
Okay.
One of the things that I think most people speak on, it's fluff.
Yeah.
It's fluff. It's very superficial.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to the heart and the core of your message when you deliver? You're a powerful speaker. How do you get there?
So this is maybe, I don't know who said this, so I can't quote who it was, but you actually mentioned this in one of your magazines. It's not what you say necessarily that they will remember, but it is how you made them feel, right?
Yes.
Empowered, hopeful. And so if it is at a casino, in a ballroom with 1,500 people, and it's, for instance, you can relate to anything. American Heart Association.
Yes.
I had a son at 42 years old, And he had open heart surgery at 8 weeks.
I can't even imagine what that was
Yes.
like.
He was born with Down syndrome, but we knew that in utero at 4 months. We already knew he was going to have Down syndrome and need open heart surgery. Well, my news director said this is when blogs came out.
I remember those days.
We all had to write a blog. So I wrote a little blog and said, you know, I used to always think doctors made too much until 2 of them saved my son's life. Thank you, American Heart Association. Thank you for the billions of dollars of research. People think maybe, what do y'all do with all this money? Why do you raise so much money? If it weren't for these surgeons and their 9-hour surgery of my son's, he was born with 1 valve and 2 chambers.
Wow.
In 9 hours, these 2 surgeons turned his heart into 2 valves and 4 chambers. And he is alive today only because of the American Heart Association. Well, the National Association sees the blog and ends up asking us to be the ambassador family. Now, we didn't get paid a penny, and that's not certainly what it's about. But my husband and son and I went around and spoke at the American Heart Association events, and from Mississippi to Texas. And they said that because it was a small little baby in a tuxedo instead of an old guy like it usually is, they raised more money. Now, here's a little hint, a good idea. On every table in the ballrooms, I put a walnut. You know, at Christmas time, you can get a bag of walnuts and you would crack.
Yes.
I put a walnut on every table. And in the middle of the speech, I said, and when you pick up that walnut and look at it, that was the size of my baby's heart, of Max. His name is Max Powers because we knew he was going to be up against a lot.
Yeah.
So Maximilian Powers. And that was the size of Max's heart.
Wow.
When these 2 surgeons did that open heart surgery that saved his life.
Wow.
So you can connect to everything, I guess is my point.
Well, I think you can, but those are the kind of messages I think people should be saying on the stages. I think there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of, there's just a lot of stuff that's just regurgitated. And I think we're forgetting to connect with our audience, with our consumer, with humanity.
Yeah. That's a good point. You've heard the saying, I'm sure, know your audience. And it really is know your audience. In anchoring, it's called a pregnant pause. You know it. You've done TV for years. It's not just blah, 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 blah. Think of it like a voice wave, right? Think of it like a voice wave. So a pregnant pause gives it that highlighting, that exaggeration. It's the same thing with knowing your audience. You could be saying something and you can look at people's faces and you can see them start to do this with their phones. You can feel them lose interest. I also like to walk around too and go to the edge of the stage and look at someone like, you know what I mean, ma'am? You've got glasses. How old were you when you couldn't see anymore? Your arms felt too short. You know, so connecting to your audience doesn't just mean think of the topic that they might like. It means feel the room. So those pregnant pauses are also when you're speaking in public, not just on camera.
Well, you know, and my good friend Robert Kiyosaki said something in our last interview that really
hit you.
It did hit me in an impactful way.
Yeah.
Don't speak until you have something to say.
That is great advice.
And I can't think of a better way to end the show. Don't speak until you have something to say. Anyway, thank you all for watching. This has been Leah Woodford with Speaker Life. Rebecca, thank you so much. Will you come back?
Thank you for having me.
I love you too.
I'd be happy to anytime.
This has been Leah Woodford with Speaker Life. Thanks for watching.